Trust the process. Pain is power. All great things take time. I am unbreakable. Unbreakable.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Unbreakables podcast, episode 18. I am your host, Jay, and today I have the pleasure of sitting down with the co-founder of Sports One Marketing and formerly served as CEO of the renowned Leigh Steinberg Sports and Entertainment Agency, which was the inspiration to the movie Jerry Maguire. He is a three-time international best-selling author, top 100 business coach, the executive producer of Entrepreneur's #1 digital business show, Elevation Pitch, and host of the top entrepreneur podcast, The Playbook. Please help me welcome David Meltzer.
Hey, how are you?
No, thank you so much, David. I really appreciate you and your time. So considering, I want to be, very considering of your time. So I just want to go back just a little bit. I understand your dad left when you were 5 years old. You were raised by a single mother and survived on food stamps. You then decided to raise the stakes as a child and choose to be happy. Your goal was to be rich so that way you're able to buy your mom a car and a house. Looking back at your life, what has been your biggest aha moment that has helped you pivot, succeed, and leap over hurdles to get you to the next level in your life?
My biggest aha moment was that money didn't buy happiness and it didn't buy love, even though I thought it would. My biggest moment was when I realized that money was still very important. It was just a matter of what you went shopping for. Mm-hmm. And so when I shifted the paradigm of understanding if I shop for the right things and shifted the paradigm of value to be of service and to help people and shop for the right things with that money to help people, that I could be super happy, and that if I spent my money on the wrong things, then that would create more problems, interference, void, shortages, obstacles in my life. And so that big aha moment has driven me over the last 13 years to, I always say you can't be poor enough to make people rich, but you can be rich enough to make people rich.
I love that. So oftentimes people who have passion for something yet don't know where to start fail to ask questions, right? And you state you need to be more intentional than interesting. Can you elaborate on that for us, please?
Yeah. So one of my favorite sayings is you got to be more interested than interesting. And that involves people not only paying attention to things but also putting intention into it to equal the coincidences that they have. I see one of the biggest mistakes, even now with the compressed times of uncertainty and accelerated change that we're in, is that, people are espousing negative energy and news and talking about things that they have no knowledge of, instead of doing research and understanding and seeing how they can find synergistic and supplementary capabilities that they have in order to effectuate production value as well as accessibility, receiving value, and being accessible to others to give value.
I love that. That's powerful. Thank you. You also state that everything vibrates, including our brand. How, especially with times like this, how can one find their frequency within themselves as well as in their brand?
That's great. So everything does vibrate. So the earth vibrates the slowest. Plants, animals, humans, light, sound, and then sound, light, and then of course thought. And the thing that vibrates the fastest is the truth. Mm-hmm. And so if we're on the pursuit of our truth, whether it be our brand or anything else in our life, that has a frequency. And the frequency has three components that we can work on. One is the strength of the signal, right? Where is the energy behind what we're talking about? The credibility, the emotional attachment, the quantitative reasons, impacts, and capability. What spectrum are we trying to reach? How many channels of people, how many different demographics are resonating with what we're saying? And then finally, how clear is the message? So it's not what I say, it's what they hear. And so if I can effectuate a way of explaining things to multi-different channels with a strong signal, then I'm able to not only empower people, but empower people to empower people. And then the really good ones can even empower people to empower people to empower people.
I love that. I know when I heard you speak about it, I was like, man, it makes so much sense. Like, it's amazing. So when did you realize that you were able to, like, I mean, considering everything that you've gone through, I know, you're a big sports fanatic. You wanted to get into football. Then, you tried law school. And when did you realize that you were walking in your purpose?
I think as a matter of pursuing your purpose more than walking into it. And so I always say that there's no pursuit. There is no pursuit of happiness. Happiness is the pursuit. And so for me, realizing the incremental, exponential growth that can occur by staying consistent and enjoying the consistent, persistent without quit pursuit of my truth, my potential. When I made that shift from attaching my outcomes and my emotions to those outcomes, that was a major shift in my life, to enjoy the pursuit instead of enjoying and looking forward to an outcome which never brought happiness.
Ooh, I love that. So considering the struggling times that we are in with COVID-19, businesses are forced to close their doors, whereas other businesses and entrepreneurs are forced to adapt and leverage the online space, right? And in order to survive, get out of their comfort zones. So what would you say your top 3 tips to growing an online business and brand are?
So my top 3 tips are: 1, capture your brand in the correct manner. 2, amplify it and have a strategy to amplify it, to capture it. And then finally, 3, to perpetuate and monetize it. So those 3 areas, if you have quality content consistently that's captured correctly with a strategy, amplified correctly with a strategy, and perpetuated with a strategy to monetize it. In other words, find the right pools to go ahead and have a hook, a story, and an ask.
I love that. I'm going to continue diving more into your content, man, because it's really inspiring. And I really love your story and everything that you stand for, your humility, and just the value that you give. Like, you can feel it, you can hear it when you speak in every way.
Oh, thank you.
Can you talk to me about your stage theory?
Yeah, so that stage theory started with reading Shakespeare. And he said something really interesting years ago, that the whole world is a stage. And the more and more the digital content in the digital virtual world becomes omnipresent. And it started for me in 1992 when I got involved in the internet. And so, here I am 28 years later, believe it or not, watching the evolution of content, the way people access content, and the mediums in which they get to experience the content have changed, accelerated, and grown through the last 28 years. And then, how it has combined with the traditional sense. And I've always been a student of history. I believe studying history and all religious texts is a benefit, because you can learn human nature, and human nature never changes. So if I can apply the human nature to the content, access, and mediums, if I can apply how to monetize that and utilize that in the correct manner, I can start understanding, even today, how we are going to be able to start integrating back into society major sports, right? If it wasn't for the stage theory, we would wait until we had a vaccine in order to incorporate major sports back into the world. But because of the stage theory, we're able to capture that quality content. We can amplify it. And so even if, the 30,000 people aren't sitting in the stands, it's not that much longer until we get those teams back on the courts, in the fields, and be able to play the game with minimal, right? It may have a local impact, but minimal impact overall to the leagues, the teams, the organizations, and the sponsors, because the majority of the people are amplified and perpetuated on a virtual stadium.
That makes absolutely sense. So growing a business requires so many trade-offs. What is non-negotiable for you?
Well, I think, I don't look at things as trading anymore. And I used to, so I understand people look at things as sacrifice and trade-offs. Through my journey and the coaching that I do, the executive coaching, the team coaching that I do, What I try to inspire people to do is to make the investment in themselves and allow themselves to have as many options and opportunities in order to develop skills, acquire knowledge, but most importantly, the key ingredient or the common denominator between all great successful people, no matter what they're trying to do, is that to be inspired in the sense of that you must be what you can be. And if you're inspired to pursue that potential, you are destined for great things.
I love that. That's powerful. So it is proven that failure is our greatest teacher in life. And what were your greatest failures that you can say that taught you the most? That maybe you can give us one or two.
All of the failures, or I like to define them as mistakes, are lessons. And so the first is that life is about lessons, and the lessons are going to keep on coming until I learn them. The pain that I experience in life, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and even financial pain, are just indications that I have more lessons to learn.
It's just preparing you, right?
Exactly. It allows me to smile through the struggle, to know that I'm expanding and accelerating and growing, and that everything's pushing me to not just better situation, but making my situation better, allowing me to be that chief betterment officer in my life and be able to continue to make incremental differences that will be exponential in the long run. And so all of these different things allow me to see the mistakes that I made through the lens of gratitude, so that I know that all the mistakes that I made just are pushing me towards something better. And I'm grateful for my past, more grateful for my present, and even more excited about my future. Forgiveness is key to that failure and mistakes, that I need to learn to forgive myself so that I can give forgiveness to others. I never forgive anyone because they deserve it. I forgive them because I deserve it. Accountability plays a huge role in it, that I live above the line, and most people live in blame, shame, and justification. I simply ask myself two questions. What did I do to attract this to myself? And what am I supposed to learn from it? And then finally, most importantly, that attitude of understanding how these mistakes, these perceived failures, are only pushing me toward greater and better, and I'm in the middle of a miracle. Smiling through the struggles is understanding effective communication or inspiration. The analogy that I like to tell people is, look, imagine there's a sun, and you are a solar battery with panels that not only stores the energy from the sun, but appreciates the energy. You can actually add value, and your job is not only to clear all the clouds over here so you can suck up as much sun as you can, but also clear the interference between that which you're connected to. And so if you live by gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration, you won't see things as failures. You may have mistakes as only presented in your life as the love, the light, and the lessons in which you live by. In other words, we can learn to love the percentage of things that we don't like, that we hate, that we don't want to do. We have the power in us to learn to love that percentage of things that exist.
Oof, I love that. That was very powerful. So as an entrepreneur and someone just starting their business, there's always going to be steps to get you to where they want to be. But there's always that one step that was crucial for their success. What would you say that one step was for you?
One step was for me was when my wife made me take stock in who I was and what I wanted to become. I learned the habit of taking inventory of my values, my personal, experiential giving and receiving values every day, not being afraid to be a hypocrite, not being afraid to say that I've made mistakes and learned, allowing myself to vote for what I want without understanding the judgments or conditions of others, allowing people to laugh at me, scoff at me, make fun of me, judge me, attack me, all of those things through radical humility. I learned because my wife took control and allowed and told me the truth about me. And so I took stock in who I was and what I wanted to become through those values of gratitude, empathy, accountability, and inspiration.
Yeah, I feel like those three things played a vital role in your success, right? And throughout your entire journey. So what would you say the most important part of your whole entrepreneurial journey that you're able to share with us?
You know, it's money. right? It's your relationship to money. I think people romanticize what entrepreneurship is about. Entrepreneurship is about making money, helping people, and having fun. But you're not going to help people and have fun unless you make money in a business. All you're going to do is be out of business, and everyone's going to hate you, not like you, blame you. So if you don't understand, entrepreneurship is not innovation. It's about monetizing innovation. It's about creating wealth and abundance so that you can help people and have fun. And if you utilize your money to help people and have fun, if you shop for the right things, that's the way we buy happiness and love. That's the way we create fulfillment in our life, allowing things that come through us, through us for others, not to us for me or to me as a victim. I'm not living in a world of not enough. I'm not even living in a world of just enough. I live in a world of more than enough of everything for everyone. And money is the currency of this vibration. It's an object of energy we put into the flow. And if you do have more money, you can help more people and have more fun if you shop for the right things.
That's absolutely true. So what are some 3 tips and strategies that you can give our viewers that are watching to live a more successful and fulfilled life?
The 3 that I would give you is 1, be a student of your calendar. Pay attention and give intention into the coincidences that you want with a lens of productivity, how valuable and much service you can provide to others. Accessibility, how can you be accessible to others and access what you want in a lens of gratitude. If you take that Meltzer kaleidoscope, those 3 lenses, and utilize them to pay attention and put intention into what you have planned, what you don't have planned, the white space or empty space in the calendar, as well as your sleep, that there, being a student of your calendar, will create the most amount of coincidences. 2, do things now. If you do things now, 100% of the things that you do now get done. Making a difference in the world takes people that get things done. So be someone that gets things done. If you can't get things done, put it in a list of things that you need to do. Prioritize by what's most important first. If something's just urgent, go ahead and delegate it. And then finally, practice ending fear. If you practice ending fear, you'll understand ego. You'll understand that you can be a ferocious Buddha like me, getting out of your way when the mind, body, and soul are on fire. Stop, drop, and roll in the trajectory that you want. You don't have to live your life like the myth of Sisyphus, pushing a boulder all the way to the top of a hill just so it rolls down in the morning. You can go ahead and live your life from plateau to grow to plateau to grow by finding your highest frequency. And then from that highest frequency, keep on having incremental and exponential growth every single day in order to effectuate pursuing your truth, your potential, and being happy.
Oof. So what are some of your daily rituals and disciplines that have helped you with your success that you still do even in the stay-at-home order?
Well, you got to have a routine, a daily routine. And if you can't stick to your daily routine, you have to have an adaptable routine. So that's the first thing I do, is have a routine about routines. If it's my daily routine, I wake up in the morning at 4 a.m. every day, living my life the day before so I can wake up at 4 a.m. I meditate for 20 minutes. I get ready for 10 minutes. I go work out for an hour. At 5:30 when I get home, I spend an hour from 5:30 to 6:30 doing research, and being a student of my calendar, being more interested than interesting. 6:30, I take care of my family. I get ready, make breakfasts and lunches, and be a family person. I do 3 cooking calls, executive calls, and then I execute on the student on my calendar, doing all the things I plan that I don't have planned, and preparing for my sleep that night at all times, understanding that's the greatest habit that we all share. I spend the majority of the time every single day sleeping, and understand the power of how to utilize that to find my higher frequency the next morning. I then do 3 coaching calls in the end of the day. 5:30 to 7:30 is time out. That's just for me and my family. 7:30 to 9 o'clock is more research, more writing, more student in my calendar. 9 o'clock to 11 is free time. I try to stay up every night until 11, but I have a wind down routine as well that puts me in jeopardy of going to sleep anywhere between 9 and 11. And then I wake up the next day at 4. If I cannot stick to a daily routine because of circumstances, then I just go to values. A minimum of an hour on my health, minimum of 30 minutes with my wife, 30 minutes with my 10-year-old, 2 minutes with my teenage daughters, 1 minute with my mom, and then go ahead and spend a minimum of 10 minutes a day on the student of my calendar. And then I execute on being a student of my calendar, once again, keeping in mind that I need to wake up at 4 a.m. the next day in order to either effectuate my normal routine or my adaptable routine.
So what are you currently studying right now that is helping you expand your creativity?
I always study the Course in Miracles every morning. I study Think and Grow Rich. I then have a long list of other audio books that I listen to, and go ahead and pick and choose by situational knowledge, mentorship, what I want to learn. So, currently I have behind me somewhere Russell Brunson's
Oh,
Traffic Secrets is the one right here, learning, how to facilitate supplying and serving and giving value to my traffic, so that they ask and attract all that they want.
oof. Yeah, I've been meaning to pick that up. I want to really dive into it. I've heard nothing but great things about it. So grit and gratitude is a story that separates those who are successful versus those who are not. What drives you to keep going, especially when times are tough? Because I know at the end of the day, we're all human and we all have our bad days. So what keeps you going and what rebuilds that momentum for you?
First of all, I don't believe in tough times. I believe in tough people. I believe always the distinction, even before this happened, I teach toughness and telephone. I think that we can make substantial business and life better if we know how to be tough, to live in a try me, not a why me perspective, and utilize the telephone in its appropriate manner in order to stimulate interest, transition interest, share a vision, manage and develop that vision, and thrive. And so for me, the biggest perspective is to understand everything's coming through me for others, and that everything that seems tough is just making me better. I'm my own chief betterment officer, and everything's pushing me towards either a better situation or making my situation better. It's that simple.
Mhm. Who would you say your top three mentors, influencers that you find yourself learning from today in this day and age?
Sure. One of the top ones is Blaine Bartlett. He wrote the book Compassionate Capitalism. He's a world business consultant, leadership consultant. He has a great understanding of what's going on. Two, the Course in Miracles, once again, is a mentorship book for me. So I learned from that. And then, I think the third mentor is my sleep mentor, Dr. Dr. Meeta Singh, who has taught me so much on how a third of my life is utilized in order to effectuate a higher frequency.
That's powerful. So because I know, David, you've met so many people all around and you've worked with, partnered, collaborated with many, big names in the world. So if you had the opportunity to sit down, have dinner with one of your idols, who would it be and what question would you ask them?
Dead or alive, or can it just alive?
Either or.
I think I'd sit down with Jesus and I'd ask him for the true history, for clarification of what exactly happened. So that to me would change a lot of perspectives. It's the number one read book, Old Testament, New Testament. So if I could just sit down with one person and ask one question, I'd ask Jesus what happened.
Oof. Now, what about somebody alive?
Yeah, somebody alive. I'd probably sit down with Warren Buffett and ask him to tell me when certain things are oversold so I could buy.
That's a good one.
This is where margins of millionaires are made, and nobody has experience, knowledge, and expertise as Warren Buffett. So if he could just give me, one industry, one company, one stock that's oversold, I'd be very confident to pour a ton of money into it and make a ton of money.
Absolutely.
And I'd help people and have fun, by the way.
There you go. That's all that matters, right? So I need to
Yeah.
ask you, what's next, David? I mean, you've done so many amazing things in your life. What is next, and how do you intend to leave a bigger legacy?
Yeah, just to finish off, my legacy is really simple. My objective in life is to empower through 1,000 people like you, 1,000 people that understand and can learn to empower another 1,000 to power another 1,000. So if someone like you can teach 1,000 people to teach 1,000 people simply how to be happy, I can create a collective consciousness of over 1 billion people, 1,000 times 1,000 is 1 million, 1 million times 1,000 is 1 billion. I can truly one single person, not by eating the wrong bat, but one single person by spreading happiness, a different virus, one single person spreading happiness and empowering others to empower others to empower others to do so. I can change the world with abundance, with health, happiness. Happiness is the greatest disease. It's spread by witnessing it. It strengthens the immune system. So believe it or not, my entire mission, my entire legacy is to create a collective consciousness to empower over 1 billion people on earth to be happy. And I'm doing it humbly from the closet in my house.
Oof, I love that. And you are well on your way. I can see it. And man, like I'm telling you, everything that you're doing, it's truly something. And I can't even begin to express my gratitude to you.
Thank you so much. And thanks for having me on. If
Absolutely.
anybody wants help, reach me, David@dmeltzer.com. They can text me. I do trainings every Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Come join me. 949-298-2905 is my text number. dmeltzer.com, @David Meltzer, everywhere else. So come and find me. I'm here to be of service. Thank you so much, Joe.
Absolutely. And I will leave all the links below.